Welcome back guys to another beginner's guide video. In this video we're gonna explore an aspect of the game that hasn't been overly explained. There's no information about positive and negative effects inside the game. However, we are on Marvel Strike Force website. You guys can easily access the information. I'm gonna go to the homepage, just show the route that we took to get here. So when you're on the main screen inside Marvel Strike Force, you are going to click on game, and then there's the effects tab. Once you click on that, it will bring you guys here. There's 3 types of effects overall. We are gonna explain each in detail, and we're gonna go over some character kits for example, for further exploration and better understanding. I hope you guys tune in till the end of the video, and let's get into it. So we have positive effects and negative effects. These two are opposing to each other. Like there's negative effects, and you have characters who can actually flip the negative effects into positive effects, and there's like opposite of the negative effects will be that positive effect. Yeah, so basically these are all the negative and positive effects, and there's a third category that recently got introduced into the game. Not too many of them. We're gonna go over those as well. Positive effects, first we have counter attack. Counter attack, as the name says it, when your character gets hit, your character will retaliate and hit the opposing enemy back. And when it's flipped on your character into a negative effect, there are also characters who can flip positive effects to negative effects, so it works both ways. Counter will turn into bleed if it's flipped. And there's death proof. Death proof prevents your character dying when they're at 0 health. For example, you have a character and they have death proof. They're gonna get hit really hard with an attack, and their damage, their incoming damage exceeds their actual health that they have available. And if they don't have the death proof, they're gonna straight out die. If they have the death proof, even though they don't have enough health to withstand the damage, they're gonna stay alive, and the death proof will be removed basically. So the death proof gives them one chance to stay alive with of course 0.1 health or very minimal health. And the opposite of this is bleed as well. No need to really memorize like what's the opposite of each one. You'll get it as you get further into the game. There's immunity. Immunity is one of the more important positive effects. It gives your character immunity to any new negative effect. Let's say if you have a bunch of negative effects and you have an ally that applies immunity to you, from that point forward you won't get any new negative effects. You will keep the old ones, but if someone tries to apply a new negative effect to you, you won't get it basically because you're immune. There's many characters that do that. The opposite is disrupt. Disrupt also, we're gonna go over it right here. It's the opposite of immunity. It prevents your character from getting any new positive effects. So it works the same way. There's defense up, defense down. They're the exact opposite of each other, similar to immunity and disrupt. Defense up reduces any incoming damage by 50%, which is pretty significant. So let's say if there's a character that deals 100 damage to you, if you have defense up, you'll only absorb 50 out of the 100. So that's pretty cool. And then there's defense down, which increases the incoming damage by 50%. So basically, if again going with that 100 example, if you get a character, if you get attacked for 100 and you have defense down, you're actually gonna get damage for 150 instead of that original 100. They're the opposite of each other. Also, defense down, the defense up, I didn't actually personally know this up until 1 year into the game, but I realized as I watched more videos, it also increases your resistance by 50%. So resistance is also an important stat for each character. Resistance is your resistance to getting any new negative effects. Like if an enemy tries to apply a negative effect to you, if you have a really high resistance, it's possible that you resist that. Like if they want to put bleed, if Wolverine attacks you, they want to put bleed on you, and you have a really high resistant character, the bleed is not gonna land, so you will be alive and well. So yeah, that's resistant, which goes up and down, also with defense up and defense down. There's deflect. Deflect is different than blocking. Deflect, I mean, it's this, like, in terms of applicability, it's the same as blocking, but what differs it is that when your character has the positive deflect status, they are guaranteed to block the incoming attack, versus if they have a natural block chance, it's gonna be a chance, it's not gonna be 100%. Another thing about deflect that I didn't know, again, up until 1 year, 2 years into the game, was that when you have a deflect, there's 50% chance that the negative effects don't stick. So it's 50-50. If someone attacks you, for example, they want to put a stun on you, they want to put ability block on you or bleed or anything, and you have deflect, there's a 50% chance that you won't even get through to the resistance check. Like, this is the first step before the resistance. Like, if your character just deflects the negative effects as well as the damage, you won't even get to the resistance check, and you will just not get the negative effect. It's not that as complicated as it sounds. It's just when you play it inside the game, you will realize how it works. But again, the opposite of this is bleed. Now, going to actual bleed, we talked about it a lot. It takes away your damage over time, meaning that, for example, Wolverine comes, applies bleed to you, you won't get the bleed damage right away. The bleed will stay on you until it gets cleared by your ally on their turn, or you get to your next turn and you have the bleed expires, and you will see the reduction in your damage then. So it goes to your damage for the next turn, basically. And yeah, there is evade as well. Evade is, as the name says, it is just a guaranteed dodge. There are some attacks, there are actually many characters who can attack, whose attack will actually bypass evade. So for example, if you have evade on your character and Venom attacks you with his basic attack, actually can bypass evade, and he's gonna hit you through the evade and clear even your evade at some point. So yeah, that's evade for you. Evade is okay. It's an annoying positive effect. It gives you the ability to dodge. Some characters also have natural dodge chance, like Spider-Gwen, Spider-Man. I don't know, there's Wasp, there's some characters with the evade chance. Regeneration is the opposite of bleed. Basically, when someone applies, this is like the actual opposite of bleed, meaning that when you get regeneration, you will gain health on the next turn. Like let's say if you apply regeneration to yourself, or if any ally apply that to you, you won't see the increase in your health instantly. It will go to your next turn, or it will be there until one of your enemies clear it off of you. before you get it the next turn. So it's basically health for your next turn, and it increases your health by 10%. If you have 10 regenerations, it means that you're gonna heal up to full health next turn. That's how it works. Heal block is the opposite of, well, in this case it's the opposite of death proof. Like if it's flipped, it's gonna flip to death proof, but the way it works is that it's just gonna keep you from getting healed. For example, if you have heal block and you get a bunch of regenerations, you won't regenerate next turn because you have the heal block. It's gonna block you from healing, even though you got the regeneration before the heal block. And that's that. Anything that stand out on this side, we're gonna go over blind and ability block as well. There is minor bleed, minor defense up, minor defense down, and minor deflect, minor offense down. These are minor version of the actual ones. Like if we look at the regeneration, it's gonna heal you by 5% instead of that 10% that was promised. And when it flips to minor bleed. Minor bleed also takes away I'm personally, I'm not gonna give you guys the wrong information. I'm not entirely sure how much does the bleed damage take off of you, but what we know so far is that it's a percentage of the attacking character. So when Wolverine attacks you, puts the bleed on you, it's a percentage of Wolverine's base damage who attacked you, and it's not gonna, the bleed amount, like the amount that will lose your health when Wolverine attacks you or when Dormammu attacks you will be a big difference, because there are two different characters. Dormammu has higher damage stats. It's gonna be a percent of that base damage. And there is minor regeneration, again 5% instead of that 10%. Minor bleed is also, as they put it, let's see if we can find the minor bleed. Minor bleed. Okay, minor bleed is also a smaller percentage of the characters, the enemy's damage. And minor defense down, minor defense up, basically instead of that 50% is 25% increase or decrease in your incoming damage and resistance. There is also, I don't see offense up and offense down, but there are offense up and offense down. And here also there's offense down and there's offense up. Offense up is pretty important, as well as offense down. Basically, you will have increased focus and outgoing damage to your enemy. Focus is the opposite of resistant, kind of. Like, it's your ability to land the negative effects on your enemy. If you are Wolverine again and you're attacking an enemy and you have a high focus, it's a high chance that you're gonna land the bleed on your enemy. Basically, the resistant checks are always against your focus, or the other way around, enemy's focus versus your resistant. If enemy has 10,000 focus and you have 5,000 resistance, it means that they're definitely gonna land the debuff, unless you have a block chance, like you are Captain America, 25% block chance. Like there's a chance you're gonna block the negative effect, or you have a deflect. Deflect is a guaranteed block, so it's also a 50-50. Like in short, if you have a block chance, there's gonna be a chance that you are going to block the attack, and when you do block the attack, again, there's a 50% chance that you're gonna receive the negative effect, or you're gonna block the negative effect. So blocking the damage and blocking the negative effects are two separate things. Like when you get attacked, it's 50-50 between both. Now, if you, let's say if instead of the block chance you have the actual deflect, you are past that first 50%, so you're gonna definitely block, but it's a 50-50 chance that you're gonna block that negative effect. So you're gonna block the damage for sure, but you're uncertain if you're gonna block the negative effect. Then offense up increases your damage and focus. Offense down decreases your damage and focus by 50%. Minor offense up is 25%. Minor offense down, it's decreased by 25%. A slow is also a crazy overpowered debuff, and you want to avoid getting hit by slow, or you want to apply the slow to your enemies, because it's pretty insane. It's going to decrease your enemies' speed by 50%, and that's until they get a turn. Like if you apply a slow to your enemy, from that moment forward, they're gonna have half the speed that they would normally have. So, there's a chance you even get to your second turn if you're a really fast character or you have a speed up. Speed up increases your speed by 50% from the point you get it until it expires. And yeah, it lasts for one turn unless you have stacks of it. And the opposite is speed up, which increases your speed by 50%. And there's the stun. Stun is pretty crazy. It just makes your enemy miss a whole turn. Basically, let's say if you get attacked and you're one turn away from doing your ultimate ability and you get the stun before you get that one turn, you won't see the increase in your ability energy. Like you get the stun, you don't do anything, you are not able to do anything, you go to the next turn and you are still one turn away from doing that ultimate ability. It's like you never even had the chance to gain that one ability energy to do your ultimate. I'm sorry if it's a little bit too complicated, if I'm making it overly complicated, but over time, as you play, you get a hold of what each one means. A stun, when it's flipped on your characters, it turns into counterattack. Like it's gonna hit your enemies back when they get attacked. Okay, that's for the negative effects. Before we get to the safeguards, let's finish up with this section here. We have Taunt and Stealth. They're not really the opposite of each other, but they do complement each other. Like if your character goes under Stealth, it means that they're not going to be seen by your enemies. Enemies cannot attack them unless it's mentioned in their kits that they can actually hit characters with Stealth. But yeah, they cannot be targeted as long as they're under Stealth. When it's flipped, it's going to turn into Bleed. Also, Taunt's gonna turn into Bleed. Taunt is like when you have a tank on your team, you have a Hulk, they have a really high health, you want to protect your Hawkeye and Black Widow and Thor. You're gonna taunt with Hulk, and Hulk, everybody has to attack the character who has taunt, and they can't attack anybody else. Hulk is one of the great taunters. He gets offense up, he gets turn meter every time he clears his own debuffs and his own stun when he gets attacked and gets under 50% health. Pretty good taunter, I would say, Hulk. If you guys don't have him, be sure to unlock him and level him up. Then yeah, let's go to Safeguard. Before we get to Safeguard, the way you can tell when there's a minor ability is that you see that's Regeneration, it's all green in the outside. It's gonna be pretty small in game, but the outer side on the minor stuff are going to be white, so that's how you can tell. And yeah, then there's the Safeguard. Safeguard is also a new buff and debuff. Like Safeguard and Trauma, they're the opposite of each other. They're two unique buffs and debuffs. They recently got introduced into the game. When you get Safeguard, basically your positive effects, like all the regeneration, immunity, whatever you have on the green side, cannot be cleared or flipped. So I mean, unless you take the turn and use the offense up. But for example, if you have like character like you have Carnage, who can clear your positive effects, and you have Safeguard like your Gamora on Infinity Watch with Adam Warlock, you get Safeguard on spawn, and that prevents any characters to remove or flip your positive effects into negative effects. So you will maintain it until you get a turn and you use it. So it's guaranteed that you are going to use your positive effects. And yeah, Infinity Watch is pretty crazy, by the way. They get Safeguard, defense up, and immunity on spawn just having Adam Warlock. By just having Adam Warlock. So it's like nobody can stun them, nobody can land anything on them. As long as they haven't got their turn, they're gonna be with defense up and all those crazy buffs. They're not gonna be flipped. Trauma is the opposite. Trauma looks like a triangle facing downwards. It guarantees that your negative effects will stay on you. So if you're, for example, if you're Apocalypse and there's Black Cat coming applying a stun to you, even though Apocalypse cannot be typically stunned, Apocalypse has an anti-stun mechanic. Basically, because Black Cat has the trauma with the stun, it's guaranteed that Apocalypse will get stunned and he can't take a turn. So it's pretty crazy. Trauma will guarantee that your negative effects cannot be cleared or flipped. Now the Safeguard, and unlike other negative and positive effects, Safeguard and Trauma cannot be removed or spread from you to other characters. So they cannot be copied or cleared or spread, or it's just gonna be, if you have it, you have it. That's it. Pretty simple. Now there's other effects. Assist now is not a buff really. It's like some characters in their kits, they will have call outs to assist. Like for example, Miss Marvel, the original Miss Marvel that we had in the game, in her passive she has call out to always assist any hero, brawler or young Avenger. So anytime you place her with other hero brawlers or young Avengers, she's gonna assist them on their turn. Basically, if you have Miles Morales going and doing something, she's going to assist and together with Miles, so it's going to be double damage or whatever damage Miss Marvel does. This is important when you get to the ISO leveling, putting ISO 8s on your character. There's a mechanic, it wasn't originally intended but it stayed with us, is the Striker Skirmisher mechanic. You want to put a Skirmisher on the character that assists, and the character that originates the attack will be your Striker. You're gonna get triple tap basically instead of the double tap with the assist. I won't get too much into it. ISO will be for another video, but assist basically is when you have your ally assisting you. And you will see this assist mark, positive mark on your allies. Like if you are using a scroll guard, you will see the assist appearing on top of Miss Marvel's head. Charged is depending on the character, they do different things with charge. Sometimes in their kits they have callouts to charge. For example, just a one off the top of my mind, heroes for hire on war defense, they have call out to having charge. They spawn up with 3 charges, and as long as they have those charges, they're gonna keep reviving, so they're not gonna die. Red Skull is another character on war defense. He gets the charges and he's gonna revive his entire team as long as he has those charges. Lots of characters, they do different things. Green Goblin Classic, the legendary, we just had the trials. He attacks, he retaliates against your enemy when his allies are hit, as long as he has the charges. There are characters who can remove the charge. Same with the assist. There are characters who can prevent the assist. If you have Echo on your team, Echo is pretty famous for that. Echo is going to prevent any assist on the opposing team. That's also in her passive. So it's going to overrule that other passives that have the assist. Exhausted is not that important. It's going to come in handy when you're in War and Cosmic Crucible. Basically, when you attack your opposing player's team, your enemy's team, and your team dies, you can't clear the other team, the opposing enemy will get 1 stack of exhausted, and it's going to reduce their stats for your next attack that you're going to go in by 20%. And this is going to be a decrease, it's going to be a decrease in their stats, in armor, damage, focus, resistance by 20% per stack, and then you will get an increase in your damage. So that's kind of how it works. It can stack, of course. It cannot be cleared or anything. It's just a game mechanic each time you attack a character. Isolate Vulnerable is a stat that you will need to know when you get to ISOing up your characters. It's pretty early on, I think, right now to get too deep, but it's basically Vulnerable is an ability that your Skirmisher and Raider characters have, and they can apply it to enemies, and it will not only increase their incoming damage by 10% on that character that has the mark, but also it's gonna do some other stuff that you will know when you get to the ISO. I will make another video for that for sure. Revive once, pretty simple. If you have a revive once on your character will revive as soon as she or he dies. Gamora and Nebula, they both have a revive on spawn, so they can come back to life as soon as they die. I think they come back, it's in their passive, I'm not entirely sure, but if we go back and look, they revive with 60% of health or so. And Expose is also a new mechanic. There are some characters who apply the Expose, and each time these guys are hit with the Expose, they will see a reduction in their health for the percent of the attacker's health. It's a little bit complicated, but it's not that complicated, I promise. This is all for the negative and positive effects. Now quickly, we forgot about ability block and blind. I'm sorry. Ability block prevents you from using your special and ultimate ability. Like, it's gonna have actually a lock button on it. You can't click it. If you have the ability block, you can also apply the ability block to your enemy. Blind also makes your character blind, reduces their accuracy by 100%, so they are going to miss when they're blinded. There are some characters like Daredevil, they have double accuracy. Like Daredevil, if we go into his kit, he has 200% accuracy, so even if he gets blinded, he will not miss. He's gonna see a reduction by 100%, but he's gonna still have the ability to attack because he still has 100%. And that sums it up. Ability block, unlike your stun, not gonna prevent you from gaining the ability. You're just not gonna be able to use it. You can, like, if you're one turn away from your ultimate, you get ability block, you still feel the ultimate bar full, but you can't use it at that turn. You're gonna get to use it on the turn that you don't have the ability block. And quickly, we're gonna just go over to the characters screen. For example, just a quick example. Let's go to Black Cat. Black Cat is one of the more complicated kits. We're gonna look at the stats first. Also, when you click on a character, at whatever level you want to level them. Let's say you want to gear them to gear 12. You want to see how powerful they become. You bring them up to level 12. You put them gear tier 12 level. Let's say we do level 70 or so, and then abilities at max or Stark Tech, also a feature inside the game. If you guys not using a Stark Tech, be sure to use that. I'm gonna in another video I'm gonna show you where it is. Then you're gonna put the ISOs. If you have any ISOs, you can just leave it empty. However many reds and yellows you have, let's say 4-star with three reds, calculate power, and we're gonna see their stats. They're gonna get 288 total health, 13% total damage. Even it's gonna show you the amount of gear you're gonna need to take them up to the next gear. More useful when you get to Dark Dimension. These are the main stats. There's health, damage, armor, focus, resistance. These are the main ones, plus the speed. Now, Black Cat is one of the fastest characters in the game right now, 132. Your typical average speed is around 110 to 120. Some characters go above and beyond. For example, you have Spider-Man 29 he has 128 speed. He also gives himself a speed up beginning of the match. His essential speed at the beginning of the match with the 50% is going to be like 190 something. There are exceptions as well, of course, but typically 132 is considered pretty fast. And yeah, health is health, damage is your base damage, armor is a reduction in the incoming damage. Let's say if somebody hits you for 10,000 damage points, you're gonna decrease them by 4,000 and you're gonna receive the remaining 6,000 as long as you have the armor. Some attacks are considered piercing attacks. Piercing means that they're gonna pierce through your armor and your armor is gonna be null for that attack. You're gonna get the full 10,000 attack, 10,000 damage. There's focus and resistance. We went over it briefly. Focus, ability to land the negative effects to your enemies. Resistance is the resistance to enemies' negative effects. There's critical damage, extra damage when your character crits. There's a 10% chance typically that your character is gonna crit, hit for a critical damage. This can increase depending on who your character is paired with. For example, if you put him with Iron Man increases your team's critical chance by 20% or so. So this will be inside the game, it will be live for 30%. This could go up or down depending on the ISO, depending on the allies, kits. Critical damage also can go up or down. Dodge chance, typically some characters have a natural dodge chance, some characters have a natural block chance. Block amount also varies by character. Captain America has a high block chance. Some characters, they get higher block amounts and block chance. This block amount is going to reduce your incoming damage by 25%. Again, if you get attacked for 10,000, you're going to reduce it by 25% if you block it. Black Cat doesn't have any chance to block, but if she gets the deflect, then this number will apply to her. She's going to reduce the enemy damage by 25% if she has the deflect. That's how she's going to block, basically. She doesn't have a natural block chance. Accuracy also, ability to hit through blinds. If you get blinded, if Black Cat gets blinded, she's going to go to 0. She's not going to be able to do anything. Then yeah, that sums it up. The king of the stats again is your speed. It just determines how fast your character goes. And yeah, I mean, of course you need health and damage and all the other good stuff, but speed is just the king stats in the game. And my recommendation, go for characters with higher speed because you have more chance to do stuff before your enemies take a turn. And that's how it is. And yeah, that sums it up. We're gonna go further into these traits, these detailed traits, synergies between some teams, for examples, go over some kits. If we look briefly at Black Cat's ability, I want to go to her ultimate specifically. Her ultimate clears the immunity, so that's one thing we know now she does. And once she clears the enemy immunity, then is the second step, which is transfer all negative effects and vulnerable. So she can transfer the vulnerable from herself to the enemy. Of course, if she has trauma, she's gonna still have the negative effects, but she applies and she copies the negative effects also to the enemy side, to the character that she's attacking. So basically, she's gonna clear your immunity. She's gonna apply those negative effects that you applied to her back to you. She's gonna copy and clear your charge. So she's gonna take away your charge for herself. And her kit like has something to do with charge. That's why the charge is useful to her. She's gonna steal it from you. And in arena, so this is a call out. Trauma typically, again, as we remember, cannot be transferred, cannot be removed or anything, but this character has a call out in their kit, so this will always come first. In arena, if this character has trauma, she's gonna apply the trauma to the opposing enemy, but she cannot clear it from herself because trauma cannot be cleared. So she's gonna apply it to the enemy, and she hits you for piercing damage on top of everything that she just did. She's gonna hit you for 500% piercing, and this 500%, as you guys remember, for the Gear 12 we saw the base stats was 13,000, so 13,000 times 500 or times 5, basically that's the amount that you're gonna get hit with this ultimate ability. And then she's gonna also, on top of everything, she's gonna reduce your speed bar, so you're gonna be 20% further away from taking your turn when she does this to you. This speed bar reduction manipulation is very crazy right now in the game. We have the speed meta, as some veterans call it. This is also gonna be inside another video that we're gonna go over the kits, because it's pretty complicated. Speed manipulation, again, speed is the king stat in the game. And she's gonna do the following also to herself. Yeah, she's gonna just be pretty crazy character overall. And on top of everything that we just read, you guys probably might think, oh, you can blind her, she's not gonna be able to hit you. No, when this attack is unavoidable, basically it means that even if she's blinded, she's gonna do everything that was mentioned, and she's not gonna lose her accuracy because her attack is unavoidable. It cannot be avoided, basically. Also, these terms, there's unavoidables, undodgeable, this attack sometimes, this attack cannot miss. These are 3 different things. Also, we're gonna go over it in another video. If she kills you, you cannot even be revived. So it's pretty crazy, insane. Bonkers kit cannot be blocked. Even if you have a deflect and you're guaranteed to block the attack, this attack will hit through the deflect for the full damage. Pretty insane stuff. She has a very complicated kit. We're not gonna get further into detail. If you don't have her, you want her. She's one of the top meta characters in the game right now. Her trial's coming in a couple of weeks, actually. Second week of February, I believe. Maybe no, third week of February, so in a couple of weeks. And yeah, that's this sums it up. Definitely we had some good traction on a first beginners video. I thought, why not just go further and do more videos. I think there's many things in the beginner side of the player base that haven't been overly explained. I don't think, like, personally, when I started the game, I didn't see too many content creators go over exactly what each effect does. I had to actually figure it out over time, and we didn't have the information inside Marvel Strikers as we have it right now. Yeah, I think we're gonna do more of these videos. I appreciate you guys for tuning into the channel as always, and stay tuned. If you like my videos, please feel free to subscribe, and thanks again. See you later.